Good evening, everyone. This is Toby Green, and I'm here with the 14 Days in March podcast, recording from luxurious G51 studios out here in Gresham, Oregon. And I just wanted to give salutations, hellos, and let's get into this. This is a draft of the resolution to organize the unemployed. Whereas the coronavirus pandemic is expected to lead to a shelter-at-home policy in many states, curtailing the rights and freedoms of many Americans. Whereas unemployment claims are expected to rise by millions over the course of this pandemic. Whereas many businesses will be permanently closed. Whereas prior to the crash, the gig economy was failing to meet worker needs. Whereas banks, big businesses, and shareholders are expected to receive trillions of dollars in negotiable loans and bailouts. Whereas state, county, city, and municipal agencies are expected to have massive loss in tax receipts due to the crisis, which will lead to further unemployment and loss of benefits, whereas there is no end in sight for the pandemic. Whereas the labor movement in times of great upheaval fought for the help and relief for the unemployed, whereas many labor union members will be laid off and lose membership rights. Therefore, be it resolved, unions will become, quote, double-breasted during the crisis by creating an unemployed union to organize workers in their trade or jurisdiction. Where workers were previously unorganized, a general unemployed workers union will be created. Be it further resolved that the unemployed union will fight for demands put forth by Portland Tenants United. These demands include, but are not limited to, full moratorium on all safety-related evictions, full amnesty for rent, taxes, utilities, fees, fines, etc. Use emergency powers to provide housing, not just shelter. Be it further resolved that the unemployed union will fight for complete restoration of living standards prior to the pandemic and an improvement upon these living standards. This resolution can be adopted and modified in any such way seen fit for the purposes of the authors in their given union or organization. Toby Green, March 19th, 2020. All right. So, let's us talk. Wow, I'm very good today. So let's get into what happened. This podcast is a little bit of a back-in-time podcast. I meant to do it last night, but got delayed. So we're thinking about this through the view of March 18th, 2020. Tomorrow will be March 19th, and we'll do it, kind of take a look at that. So what happened? I'll just say it. What happened yesterday? Well, the stock market took another one of its 2,000-point bloodbaths. Went completely into a selling frenzy because pretty much what was driving it was that there's no end in sight. I mean, there's just no end in sight. The issue that we are facing as a society is this. Out of 1 million people in the United States, okay, only 125 have been tested. So if you're talking about 2 million people, you can do the math. It'd be 250, so on and so on. The tests aren't getting out fast enough. And so what this has done is create complete uncertainty for policymakers. Policymakers have no clue how to get around this. We know that very quickly this pandemic, this virus is going to hit and people are going to be in a bad situation in a bad way. We know that this is coming. And we're already seeing cases spike up. Now, the great majority of people, again, the great majority of people are going to survive this and be fine. But we don't know who it is, because the initial things that were talked about was that this was only going to hit old people and young people. So the majority of us went, okay, that's fine. Now we're finding out that's BS. It's going to hit everybody. And, people are going to get sick and potentially die from this disease, whether you're young or old. Obviously, if you're immune suppressed or any other issues are going on, you're more likely. But to go down regardless of your age. So I don't want to be cavalier about that. What I'm saying is this uncertainty is really leading us down a fog. And that led to the stock market going down. Now, unemployment claims have shot up. We went from last week, or right before it hit, to about 300,000 claims a week. Not great. I won't write home about those numbers and say, yay, we're doing great as a society. We're not. But I would also say that at the same time that that's true, we're expecting by the end of this week the unemployment numbers to be 2.25 million for unemployment claims. That's staggering. That is staggering. It is hard to put into numbers how terrible that is. Okay? It is, we have never, I even think during the Great Depression we've seen that type of rocket, but I don't know. It's a lot. That's what you need to know. It's a lot. 2.25 million. So a lot of us, this is going to change a lot of things, and it's going to really give the employers that do survive this and whatever employment looks like here in the future, it's going to give them a massive upper hand against working people. And put plain, unemployment could very easily mean death, just in the same way that a virus does. So it's bad news. It's real and it's legit. And for you folks who are on the margins, who are kind of dealing with stuff, you know what I'm saying. For you who've been somewhat secure, like myself, a little bit I've been somewhat secure, hey, this can all be taken away very quickly. So I wanted to podcast on this to say, look, now's the time. Now's the time that we need to organize the unemployed. And it's really important because this virus is going to continue to spread. And what I'm afraid of, and I think that you should be afraid of as well, is that if we don't organize the unemployed, what's going to end up happening to them, first of all, the goal should be to get people back to where they were before the crisis hit. That should be our immediate goal. So as quickly as possible, we can get to relations to being normalized. That's and one of the things that I didn't put in the resolution I should have is complete rehire. Everybody who gets laid off should be rehired. The reality is that what needs to happen is that we need to organize the unemployed. And that needs to happen. Because if people try to handle this individually without having an organized way to put demands on the government, what's going to end up happening is they're going to get slaughtered. And because individuals, this is too big for an individual to deal with. And in an organized way, we have to continue putting pressure on the United States government to do what's right for working people in this country and to take action and to restore people to what they have. Now, I want to be really clear. For a lot of folks, what they had wasn't good enough. This just amplified it. So we need to bring more people out and whatever that looks like. So it isn't just enough to say, wow, before this happened, you were doing gigs for Grubhub or whatever. That's not enough. There's got to be more. So I think that unions have a really important piece to lead the fight by creating an unemployed worker union in their own ranks. So if you're a carpenter, let's say, you should have your unemployed carpenter roles. And instead of, if the job gets shut down, instead of just sending everybody out and going, okay, thanks guys, keep them as members of your union, form that adjunct chapter and start pressing it. So it's the unemployed carpenters workers. It's the unemployed AFSCME members, whatever it looks like. Whatever that is, do that. And that's really going to be super important to the survival of people beyond the virus. You notice that I'm kind of already changing where it's not just enough to reflect about what happened in the day, but I also am trying to paint a vision forward. And by being organized, we have a very good shot. So I'm going to really kind of keep it there. I'm going to be posting to the 14 Days in March Facebook site. I'm going to be posting a copy of the resolution that I put forward at the beginning of the show. And if you would like a copy or you want to get in touch with me about possibly looking to get this passed or get this worked on, feel free to shoot me an email or shoot me something. I'd be happy to share it or even talk with you about it. So anyways, folks, thanks for listening. You got episode 6 should be happening pretty quickly here.